Hi, my name is Kerry White, and I'm one of the 12 executive board members of Citizens for Balanced Use. We are systematically being locked out of our public lands today. For the last 25 or 30 years, environmental groups have been pushing for more wilderness. Wilderness is a land of no use. Whether you're building watches or radios or cell phones, whether you're putting tires on your car, putting fuel in your tank, whether you're heating your home, using electricity, those raw materials come from somewhere. Look at your cell phone, turn it on. That came from the Stillwater mine over here in Columbus, Montana. It's the only place in the world that produces the materials needed to make the batteries for your cell phone.
And Stillwater's a good example. Environmentally sound, gets along with their neighbors, has maybe 150 acres total disturbance, and employs about 1,200 people that probably going to average $50,000 to $60,000 a year. That has a huge impact on the state economy and the regional economy. And when you remove that opportunity for 2,300 minimum wage jobs, I don't think it's the same program. The turning point in the environmental movement in starting up and the failure of our own federal agencies and state agencies was the beginning of clear cutting. Through the 60s, we saw immense changes in the forest, and consequently, the environmental movement came out of that basis of, look at the destruction, we've got to stop something, and the Forest Service is incapable of managing this. Instead of just saying we're going to remove it so that the government can't goof it up anymore, we should be looking at how can we get back to wise management. By locking it up and prohibiting, the system will go natural, and natural is catastrophic failure and catastrophic success over broad periods of time, and nothing that the local economy can do. If we go back to wise management, where we have sustained yields in the forest and sustainable ecosystems, then we'd have that opportunity to support local economies and still have all the other components. The withdrawal is like saying, I'm going to take my ball and go home. By having it this other way, we can acknowledge that we made some mistakes, but there are solutions in wise management, and the wise management should be kept local. Mining has an interesting history. The early mining was essentially a group of small-time operators, no equipment, harvesting some gold for their own use and survival. It wasn't until 1928 that the technology caught up, and those deposits that could be mined with better recoveries, we saw a lot less pollution, and a lot of it was underground with very little impact to the environment. By the time we got into the 60s, when technology allowed us to go into open pit mining, the bankers were much happier with open pit mining. It made a huge scar, but it diminished the risk to the financial community. Open pit has a relatively limited life, as opposed to the underground, where we see, as in Butte, well over 100 years worth of production. When we look at the overall economic impact, we know that we have something in the realm of 1,500 deposits with multiple access. Less than 1/100% is currently in production. Total disturbance at less than 10,000 acres. Production of those acres of mining in Montana averaging out at over $60,000 per acre. It's critical, as with timber resources and other items, that we harvest these wisely. We get as much as we possibly can out of them, and we put them back to bed when everything's done, to be able to utilize that landscape the best we can in a compatible manner with the surrounding environment. All of this at this time is possible. When we withdraw large areas without adequately exploring them, it's like throwing away boxes of unknown items that you don't know what it is you have, you don't know what it is you've lost, and you most likely will never come back. We should be looking at wiser management. We should be able to consider all the different people that have needs on that land, and we should be able to come up with something that is a wise use. Instead of wilderness in some areas, it would make much better sense to have covenants on it that future development of that land is limited by the justification that it is of enough significant value to the community and to the public that warrants that temporary disturbance of that land for that particular use. And I do mean temporary. We need to be able to continue to function and get better. You want electric cars? You're going to have the batteries. That comes from mining. Could be the petroleum industry, as in coal. All of these have that ability to contribute to the welfare of the environment and to the populace of the United States and the world. When you withdraw big blocks of land unexplored, you don't know what commodities may have existed there to advance our society and possibly to save the environment. Before we throw it away, we need to look and see what it is that we may be losing rather than blindly discarding it.
The attack from the environmentalists shutting down the development of these resources is of critical importance to all businesses throughout the United States. We need those treasures that are out there. We need that hard rock, we need the silver, the palladium. It's time for us to develop these resources in a responsible way. With the technology that we have today, we can do it in a responsible way.